At the risk of talking about this too much, I want to talk about the feature of a big nose. Now, some of you may look at me and say, well, really, your nose isn't that big. I'm giving you a close-up. Different perspectives. So some might say, well, your nose isn't that big. While others who have smaller noses and come from ethnic backgrounds where noses are smaller or are shaped differently, they will say, well, actually, yeah, your nose is kind of big. I want to say this. I identify as a man with a large nose. Now, I'm not thinking that I've got this huge nose, but as far as if you were to judge noses, as far as what qualifies as a more prominent nose, I feel that I would qualify for that. Again, it's not a contest of who has the biggest nose, but as far as identifying as someone who has a more prominent nose, that's me. I'm proud of that. If I haven't said it before, and here's where I'm going to sound probably like self-centered, but physically, I see a more prominent nose as an attractive feature on people. I do. And I think I always have. It's always a better thing to have a larger nose than a smaller nose as far as the way I perceive what is attractive. And I think that's interesting because people are attracted to different physical features and in people. You know, it's funny because I run another YouTube channel where I'm mainly talking to younger men who are starting to lose their hair. And what I have to remind them of daily, a lot of them, they're losing their hair on top of their head, but they got these nice strong beards. And I remind them, hey, you know what? So what if you're not a TV show host of some game show with this perfect smile and a perfect head of hair? A lot of people see you as attractive with the beard and the shaved head. That is masculinity, and that's how they see it. That's a good trait. So, and I tell them, it's not about looking like it's not about looking like Brad Pitt or Tom Cruise. Sure, are they attractive? Sure. Do a lot of people see them as attractive? Sure. But that is not the only mold for what makes an attractive man. And it goes for women as well. There are all these different traits that, well, maybe the mainstream sees this one thing as attractive. There's a whole other subset of people who, a whole different group of people who maybe don't even believe what most people believe. But they still believe that that one thing is attractive. So for me, and I could break this down and I could talk about several different features, but for me personally, a bigger nose is one of those. Would it be safe to say too that darker skin, I think, is definitely attractive too? That's not to say that people with darker skin are superior to people with lighter skin. It's just to say that I think we've all got our built-in preferences on what we think is attractive in people. So, therefore, I'm telling you the way my mind is wired, maybe based on culturally what I already am, that if someone's got a bigger nose and they've got darker skin, I find that as attractive. Now, and then even then we can define a big nose as being several different things. You know, particularly I've got, and people keep saying that I've got more of the classic Greek nose that you find on statues where it starts up here. It's just a big triangle, pointed right here. You know, apparently that's a Greek nose. That's what people keep telling me. So I've got one version of a large nose. Different ethnicities can have a different form of a big nose. And I can't understand that fully, but like I'm thinking right now, we all love Michael Jackson, right? The musician. And I think back to, you know, a lot of the abuse he dealt with as a child. His father psychologically abused him, calling him big nose, saying you've got a big nose. And what happened? Michael Jackson as an adult had these surgeries and got a very small pointed nose to try to deal with the psychology of his father being so abusive to him. So, and I wouldn't have, when I look at Michael Jackson as a child, I don't see someone with a big nose. That's not my perception of it. But his father perceived it as big nose, and he made that part of Michael Jackson's identity. That's a tragedy. It's a sad story. But what I'm saying is, different ethnicities have their own versions of what a big nose may be. Some people may not think I have a big nose. Maybe if someone's Greek and they have a larger nose than I have, and they say, oh, your nose is small, and as far as everyone in my culture would say you have a small nose. Could be. But I'm making this video to demonstrate the fact that some people might say, I think a large nose, a big nose is unattractive. I'm a person who's here to say, I think a large nose definitely is attractive, so much that it's part of my identity. I am very proud to have what I perceive as a large nose. It's part of my identity. And I think that's the thing, and I made a video about this recently too, that our ethnicity brings forth out of us certain ethnic traits that we can trace back to somewhere in our DNA as we look at our results on whatever DNA test we took, like mine was through MyHeritage. And we can find certain traits that we have arguably only because of our ethnic background. So here is to celebrating big noses, large noses, more prominent noses. I say it's an attractive feature, and that's how, in my version of reality, I see things. I understand other people might say the complete opposite, but for me, I am here to be an advocate of a large nose.